When discussing the African role in the transatlantic slave trade, it's essential to understand the complexity and nuance. African involvement varied by region, group, and historical context. Here is a breakdown that exposes key African parts in the slave trade without minimizing the overarching violence and exploitation by European powers. 1. African rulers and elites as participants. Some African kings, chiefs, and elites actively participated in the slave trade for profit and political gain. They often captured rival groups through warfare or raids, sold prisoners of war, criminals, or debtors into slavery, traded slaves for European goods such as guns, alcohol, textiles, and metal tools. Examples: the Asante Empire, in present-day Ghana, traded slaves in exchange for firearms and other goods. The Dahomey Kingdom, now Benin, became wealthy through organized slave raids and sales to Europeans. 2. Slave ports and markets in Africa. Several coastal cities and ports became major slave trading hubs. African intermediaries worked with European traders to hold and process slaves in barracoons, temporary holding pens, negotiate prices and terms of sale, ensure that the trade remained organized and protected by local authorities. Notable ports: Elmina, Ghana, controlled by the Portuguese, Dutch, and British at different times. Ouidah, Benin, and Bani, Nigeria, major slave exporting ports. 3. Intra-African slave trade. Long before and during the transatlantic slave trade, there was a domestic slave trade within Africa. Enslaved people were used for labor, tribute, or as concubines and soldiers. Internal slavery systems were different in structure and purpose from the chattel slavery in the Americas, but still often brutal. 4. Complicity and resistance. While some Africans profited, others resisted or were victims of the system. Some communities refused to participate or tried to protect their people. African resistance to slave raiding and trade occurred regularly, though often poorly documented. Others were caught between European pressure and inter-ethnic rivalries. 5. Moral complexity. It's important to view African involvement within the larger context of colonial exploitation, coercion, and economic dependency. Some African rulers traded slaves to maintain power or protect their own people from enslavement. European demand and military power heavily influenced African participation. Summary: Africans were not passive victims, nor were they uniformly complicit. Their roles in the transatlantic slave trade were diverse and driven by complex motives, including survival, power, and